Hello, I'm Mike Ryan and welcome to BNAP Today, September the 18th, 2020. And because it's a Friday and start of the weekend, we chill out with Apple, some good wine tips and a must-go-to once we can start to travel. Apple rolled out a new virtual fitness service and a bundle of all its subscriptions, Apple One, focusing a holiday season product launch on services that are the backbone of Apple's growth strategy and that cater to customers working at home during COVID-19. Conway G. Gittens has more.
Introducing Apple Fitness Plus.
Apple is going all in on the stay-at-home fitness craze. It unveiled Apple Fitness Plus on Tuesday, a new virtual fitness service packed with workouts for $10 a month or $80 per year. The service was designed to be compatible with Apple Watch and Apple's other devices with a screen. Apple is trying to get a piece of the market from Peloton, which saw sales nearly double last quarter on a surge in demand for at-home fitness equipment. Peloton wasn't the only company in Apple's crosshairs at Tuesday's product rollout. Apple is also launching a new bundle service called Apple One.
Apple One gives you and your family all the services you love in one simple plan.
Customers can get access to Apple TV Plus, Apple Music, and games for a monthly fee starting at $15 for individuals and $20 for a family plan. Compare that to what consumers pay piecemeal for streaming services like Netflix, Spotify, and online gaming. Apple also offering a $30 bundle that includes news and the fitness product. Of course, the bundle could also put pressure on main operating system rival, Google's Android. But Apple's services, even if cheaper when grouped all together, still lack the critical success or popularity as, say, Netflix or Spotify. Still, Apple is hoping to lock in new customers through its ever-popular hardware. The world's most valuable tech company on Tuesday also introduced a new Apple Watch that can monitor blood oxygen levels to look for potential early signs of respiratory conditions like influenza and COVID-19. Besides the $399 Apple Watch 6, Apple unveiled the SE, a lower-priced model for just $279. As it tries to cover each price point during this crucial holiday shopping quarter. And it's not just the watches. There are new, more powerful iPads coming, but if you're looking for an upgrade on Apple's bestseller, the iPhone, you'll have to wait. An announcement on that is not expected until next month.
And after this break, Grape Encounters of a radio kind.
As the world faces the challenges of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Lions recognize that kindness matters now more than ever. And Lions and Leos are finding ways to continue to serve our communities, including ordering food delivery for healthcare workers, holding story time for children online, and providing surgical masks to medical professionals and first responders. Empowering us to do more, Lions Clubs International Foundation has provided nearly $2.5 million in grant funding for COVID-19 relief. And that support continues to grow. For more than 100 years, in times of need, Lions always find a way to help those around them. And after we emerge from this, we will be stronger than ever. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
The Central Coast of California is the home of Grape Encounters Radio. Now, the region provides endless content for the show, but listeners are taken to the four corners of the world on a regular basis. The show points listeners to wineries, tasting rooms, restaurants, and other great places that leave visitors, well, with a lasting impression. Grape Encounters airs each week on radio stations across the US, reaching wine lovers coast to coast and around the world online. David Wilson is the host of Grape Encounters, and I've known David for a while now. And let me tell you one thing, he can talk a lot and he knows his wine. David, welcome.
Thanks. It's nice to be with you, Mike.
Grape Encounters, David, is about colourful people, the places, the ambience, the passion that makes wine drinking one of the world's most popular pastimes. Tell us more about your show and your love for wine.
Well, let me just put it to you this way. There is so much content out there about wine, and it really is kind of wine 101. Everybody wants to teach you about wine and talk tasting notes. It has hints of leather and cassis and, all of those things. And I just don't believe that's what consumers really want. So we created a show where wine is at the center of grander experiences, and it's not all about the wine, but wine is it's that nuclear rod in life. It fuels everything, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the end all to beat all. There's a saying that goes like this, that wine should be a social lubricant that stimulates conversation about everything except the wine. And that's really, I think, at the core of what our show is we want to take people places where, wine is certainly an important part of that experience, but that we don't get mired down in trying to dissect wine like we were an 8th grader in biology class tearing up a frog, And so that's what we tried to do. And we also have a special filter on the show that filters out any listeners who are pretentious. They're not able to listen. It detects that, and it just shuts them out completely, because we really don't want anything to do with that.
Does that work better after the filter has had a few drinks?
Well, that's a good point. I do think people become less pretentious usually when they've had a few drinks. But the fact of the matter is that there's about 5% of the population, the wine-loving population, that is pretentious, and the rest are just regular people. But that pretentious person is usually the guy with a new girlfriend and a new Tesla. And he shows up at the tasting room and he wants to monopolize the conversation. And by the way, yes, it usually is a he. But I think that we're starting to really understand that what consumers really want in wine is something very simple. I think there are 2 flavors of wine. As a friend of mine once put it, those flavors are yummy and yuck. And
I love that. I love it.
Right. And if you love it, drink it. And I tell people, if you're in love with that, $6 bottle of wine or $5 bottle of wine, if you can really say that you love it, stop right there. You don't need $80 wine or $100 wine. And it's important for people to realize that price doesn't always make it better for everybody. Some people just can't even taste those nuances. So why would you even bother unless you've got money to burn and you want to impress somebody? But the other thing is that, my show is also about helping people to find wines that they maybe like even better than what they're currently drinking. A lot of times people don't really understand what it is that they like about wine. Wine is complicated from a flavor standpoint, and people will often tell me that they like certain wines, but they can't tell me why. So what we try to do is to help them to identify what it is they're really tasting, what they're really liking, and where there are other wines that they can find and enjoy that are going to give them at least the same amount of pleasure, but maybe even more pleasure. And then one other thing that I think is just really exemplifies what Grape Encounters is about is we are very committed to breaking rules and being mavericks. And as an example, one of the things that we do on a regular basis is we tell our listeners what to do if you buy a bottle of wine. Let's say you spend $30 or $40 on a bottle of wine. You take it home and you open it up and you don't like the wine. Now what? Well, a lot of people will, cook with it. Other people will pour it down the drain. Other people will have somebody else drink it. But the truth is, you can actually, in many cases, fix the wine by using just a few things that you have around the house. And so that, I think, is really super useful information. And I can't tell you how many times listeners have contacted me and said, thank you for that, because I've had so many bad bottles of wine in my life, and now I don't ever have to waste wine or feel bad about the purchase that I made.
Isn't it funny? I haven't actually found any wine that I really don't like. I mean, sometimes you'll think, oh, that's okay, and you'll do it for mankind. You'll finish that bottle off. But other times you can find this absolutely delicious. Like my favourite wines. Either a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot, a good Pinot, or a bad Pinot. But I still haven't found that really bad wine that I just wanted to pour out. I've just, as I said before, I've done it for mankind. I've quaffed it down.
Mike, you're going to be getting a package from me in a couple of days, and I'm going to solve this problem that you have about never having tasted bad wine.
I love it. Now, is Grape Encounters unique in then what it delivers?
In what we deliver?
Yes.
I think that we're really different than almost everything out there. One thing that if you go online and you look at the number of, for instance, podcasts that are out there about wine, I mean, there's probably thousands of them, and I periodically will go and I'll check out the most popular ones, and they're always trying to teach you about how to pair wine or how to understand wine, and not very many of them really tell you how to have fun with wine. Like, for instance, I mean, what is the point of sitting and listening to somebody who's sitting at, one of the most sought after chateaus in France, talking about a $3,000 bottle of wine that most of us will never have the opportunity to taste. It's exciting, I guess, to go there, but I want to take my listeners places that they can actually go to, and where they can have an experience that's more than just standing in a tasting room. And I mean, I'll give you an example. There's a place that we're going to visit sometime really soon when the COVID thing is over, the country Moldova. I don't know that anybody really knows, or at least very few people probably know, that in Moldova there are literally hundreds of miles of underground wine caves. Hundreds of miles. They're interconnected. It's a veritable street grid underground that goes on for hundreds and hundreds of miles, and you can drive a car down there. And
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but see, people don't know about these things. That as big as that story is, it's just a complete unknown, even by people who are really, really astute about wine. So, those are the kinds of places that I'd like to take my listeners, because when you consider the fact that visiting Moldova is incredibly cheap, you can, if you're spending $50 a day there on your accommodations, on your food and everything else, you're living like a king.
Moldova, it sounds like something out of a Stephen King novel, doesn't it?
Yeah. And what's really amazing is when you go down into these catacombs, and there are all of these really incredible salons down there. They look like the Vatican, honestly.
Wow.
And there's a whole bunch of those places that you can go in and try different wines. And people like, Vladimir Putin, his entire wine collection, as I understand it, is in Moldovan caves. And then on top of that, the Moldovan people generally believe that if you have a home, you should have a wine cellar. And,
fantastic.
And many of them make their own wine. So that's a very approachable opportunity for my listeners that probably they're never going to hear about anyplace else. Or how about the spa in Japan, where there's I think it's probably like a 20-foot long bottle of wine that is pouring wine into a giant pool that people are bathing in and hopefully getting the therapeutic, effects of the wine. You can go to places like this. There are other places in the world where you can spend the night in a giant wine barrel, a real wine barrel. And these are things that you can do that you're not going to have to, spend, tens of thousands of dollars to experience. So, those I think are the things that I feel most responsible to bring to listeners. And I go do experiences like I mean, here's one that I love to share because I was in Calistoga County in California and doing, tasting some various wines there. They've got a really fun wine country there. Well, they have this place called Moaning Cavern. And Moaning Cavern is I guess, you can get lowered down into the cavern, and it's hundreds of feet down. And if you're daring, they'll strap you in, and then you lower yourself down. And it's a great example of the kinds of things that you can do while you're having a wine experience. And by the way, if you're going to get lowered into that cavern, you better drink some wine first, because it's the most frightening thing I've ever done in my life, especially when what it's called J-hook that allows you to be able to, lower your own weight. When that thing breaks open and suddenly you don't have that leverage any longer, it's terrifying. But I loved doing that all the same, because it's so different than just sitting in a tasting room. It's so different than, cheese and wine pairings. I could go the rest of my life without another cheese and wine pairing. It's just, I'd much rather pair great wine and fast food than do a fancy pairing that most people are not really going to experience in their life. People don't want to watch, they want to participate.
You also delved into a wine bar. Tell us about this. It really intrigues me, because not only do you work to live, you live to work.
Well, you see me in my lab coat right now. That's because in the evenings, certain evenings, I'll do, we call it Theater of the Vine, and I'll do performances where we blend wines. We could take wines from 3 or 4 different continents and blend them into something really terrific, and create wines that you would not really be able to experience if it were not for the fact that we're doing that. And I wanted to be able to give people those experiences. I talked a moment ago about fixing wine. I wanted to be able to show people that, these very important lessons that you just don't find out there. So I decided that I would create the Grape Encounters Wine Bar, which would be a place where people could come from all over the world, and they do, by the way, and stay in the hotel across the street. There's a nice hotel, and then just come over and hang with us, and be able to talk to, the folks that they listen to on the radio face to face, because that's an experience that has been really lost in our world, that ability to actually have contact with somebody face to face. And I laugh because no, we can't have contact with people face to face at all anymore.
Unless you wear a mask.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right.
So how do you drink your wine with a mask?
I actually finally bought burgundy colored masks. So and that's better, because I can just barely suck the wine through the material, but it doesn't stain, or the stains don't actually show that way.
So where is where if somebody wanted to pop into to your wine bar, whereabouts is it? Where is the Grape Encounters headquarters? How's that? The headquarters.
It's right on the other side of this wall right here. Oh no.
Good on you.
So we're in a place called Paso Robles wine region, and it's really a pretty big wine region. It's acreage wise, I think it's bigger than Napa and Sonoma, which people probably know a little bit better. But we are literally right in between, exactly in between San Francisco, and Los Angeles. It's called the Central Coast of California, and it has a real strong coastal influence that allows us to grow some really remarkable grapes here. We grow probably one of the widest varieties of grapes that you'll find any place on the planet. Particularly good at Rhone grapes, so Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. Not really unlike the kinds of wines made in Australia. Very similar varietals that we grow here. I hesitate to say this, but we are not quite, in most cases, where Napa is as far as the Bordeaux varietals like Cabernet and Merlot and a few of those really popular wines. But we're doing a really good job, and we're catching up with them where that's concerned. But I don't think that we can be touched when it comes to the Rhone grapes and also Zinfandel, which is something you also do quite well. We're very similar to your neck of the woods in terms of what we grow, and that really we offer that really lush, very fruit forward kind of wine that I think people really crave.
I'm hanging out for a wine. I don't know what wine I'll get. Probably something that if it's bad, I'll do it for mankind. If it's great, I'll just do it for Mike Ryan. David Wilson from Grape Encounters. We have to do this more often. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. And we need to, you and I need to get together in your neck of the woods, and we'll rent an RV and we'll just tour the whole country. How's that sound?
It'll be Sideways Part 2 comes to Australia.
I can't wait till we have that opportunity. You and I have never had a chance to sit down and have a glass of wine together. I think that's long overdue, right?
A lot of talking. It'll be who can talk the most, David Wilson or Mike Ryan. I think David Wilson would win.
I stop talking when I drink wine because I'm very fearful of slurring, so I just shut up because I don't ever want anybody to hear me slur. So I don't. I just shut up when I drink.
David, a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Mike, you're welcome. So nice talking to you. Take care.
There is a place in the heart of the Pacific where people greet each other with life, happiness, and good health. Where Mbula is more than just hello, but a feeling buried in the soul of every Fijian. To care for our family and neighbors, find humor where there is little, and hope in uncertain times. Mbula is in our DNA. We love to share it with you, and it is yours to share too. For now, we must be apart, but when you're ready, we'll be here, just like always, waiting to share our home with you again.
A stylish rebrand of a much-loved landmark that's a worthy contender for the city's best 5-star hotel in Hong Kong. At the Murray, Hong Kong, a Niccolo Hotel truly is a standout with its restaurants, bars, sprawling suites and great park views. Dean Dimitriou is the hotel manager. Dean, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The Murray, a magnificent hotel. It embraces the Niccolo spirit. Can you tell us about the spirit of, and it sounds like we're talking about ghosts, but tell us about the spirit of Niccolo and the Murray.
Certainly. Well, the Niccolo is all about new encounters and timeless pleasures, and we very much reflect that here at the Murray. The Murray itself has a large history behind it, being an ex-government building back in 1969 when it was constructed. So The manner by which we operate our hotel and service our guests, we very much instill the ethos of encouraging new encounters and creating timeless pleasures at the property.
The Murray has won many prestigious awards since it opened. What does it take to achieve these awards? I mean, they're not handed out willy-nilly, as we would say, and a lot of work and planning and team spirit is involved.
Certainly. I mean, we're the biggest critic of ourselves. We always look at how we can strive towards perfection. So we're always learning. We're very humble in any accolades we do achieve. But really, we always go down to the root of hospitality, which is ensuring we deliver impeccable service and really do our utmost to tailor each individual stay with us.
Tell us about the building, its history, the heritage, the design, what it offers to guests.
Yes, well, as I mentioned, it was built back in 1969. The architect was Ron Phillips, and he was also heavily involved in the redesign of the Murray building. So we worked with Foster and Partners in regards to keeping the integrity of the building intact. Now, the Murray renovation was one of 7 conserving initiatives as part of the Hong Kong government. Now, the Murray building, for example, the windows are angled in a certain way to prevent sunlight entering the rooms. Now, obviously, that reduces energy consumption within the hotel. So that was actually one of the principal aspects of the conserving initiative project that was part of the Murray. And we continue that ethos within the hotel in terms of conservation and energy efficiency and really giving back to the Hong Kong community.
Can you tell us about the location and the significance of the city and the surrounds?
Well, we're in Central. However, we're surrounded by green. Our views are not obstructed, which allows us to have a pleasant view of the skyline of Hong Kong. So we're in somewhat of an oasis within Central, and we have a lot of open space around the property and within the property. So it's a different experience staying in Hong Kong and a very pleasant one.
The hotel has many wonderful bars and restaurants. Tell us about some of these restaurants and bars and some of the special offerings and where they are in the hotel.
We have our Taipan. I'll start with the Taipan. Now, that's a bistro-style restaurant. It's on the upper ground level. And we're lucky to have alfresco seating as part of that restaurant. Beside that, we have the Garden Lounge, which its prime identity is afternoon tea. So we have our signature Murray afternoon tea there, which is fairly popular. And again, we have alfresco seating as part of our Garden Lounge restaurant. And on the rooftop, we have Popinjay's. Now, Popinjay's is perched at the top of the hotel with an outdoor terrace. And the restaurant name was actually named after the Popinjay's bird, which often perches up on the 26th floor terrace where the restaurant is located. Now, Popinjay's is a contemporary European cuisine. It's a very fashionable venue. There's a lot of art within the restaurant. We have a few Coors paintings up on the wall. So there's a lot of color, and it's a very chic restaurant in itself. And for me, the afternoon tea up there and the dining experience as a whole is the biggest attractor, in addition to our bar. Our bar, obviously, a very popular destination up on the roof with a terrace. So I would say going up there for a drink as well as an afternoon tea would be my recommendation.
It sounds delightful. If only we could get there at the moment. But, you know, the fingers crossed, a vaccine or a cure of some sort is not far away. Can you tell us about some of your more popular seasonal offers, like those for the fashion conscious and also for pet lovers?
Certainly. Well, the afternoon tea in Popinjay's is very much a popular destination for the fashionistas, let's say, a very Instagrammable restaurant in itself. As I said, we're blessed with a lot of alfresco space and outdoor space, hence our ability to cater to the pet-friendly consumers. So we have a lot of pet-friendly afternoon teas outside on our Cotton Tree Terrace, which is adjacent to the Taipan. and we very much customize the afternoon tea accordingly in terms of catering for both the guests and our little furry guests.
That's hilarious.
We also do pop-ups in terms of fashion afternoon teas for dogs, where people can showcase different attires or hairstyles or any accessories they like to dress up their dogs with.
And do you get often recommendations from other dogs suggesting that this is the place to pop in for an afternoon tea?
Yes, I mean, we do our utmost to get feedback from our dogs. Sometimes it's difficult to translate, but most of the dogs seem very, very happy. We also do accommodate dogs in our guest rooms under 10 kilograms, and we have designated dog rooms for that specific reasons. And we have lovely amenities within the rooms for the dogs as well.
Do they tip the dogs?
The dogs? No, I think just positive feedback in regards to maybe the manner by which they bark in a positive way.
That's very, very, very cool, I have to say. Look, how's the hotel managing with COVID-19, and are your services currently restricted in any way?
Well, as of tomorrow, the only area that was restricted was our swimming pool in terms of a closure, which is reopening in the next couple of days. And then I think, well, after that, there's just a restriction in regards to the capacity in our restaurants. Now we keep a certain level of social distancing between tables. Other than that, all the amenities and facilities continue to be available. We have gone through phases and in accordance to obviously government directions as to what areas of the hotel to close, which we've gone through, as well as obviously our own initiatives in terms of cleanliness and ensuring sanitization is the utmost of importance.
What are some of the unique elements that have been introduced to the hotel, including biosecurity and purification measures?
Well, we use a product called Amazing Verdi, which is a coating which we deliver with throughout our public areas and guest rooms, which really results in a 99.9% efficiency against COVID. So other than that, I mean, it's all about cleanliness. So housekeeping plays an integral role. Also sanitization of our back of house areas frequently. And that's always been a focus since we've opened. Because for me, cleanliness, and a lot of our guests, of course, cleanliness is of the utmost importance. And we continue to focus on that. And we go above and beyond the recommendations of the government in terms of what to do within a hotel during this period.
Are there any further initiatives planned then for the property?
We will continue to sanitize as our current program outlines, and even with the drop in cases in Hong Kong, and probably as we foresee globally, we will still continue to be quite strict and detailed in regards to how we sanitize the property, because we do believe there will be a change moving forward in terms of the travelers' expectations.
And what about your favourite part or aspect of the Murray? Do you have your favourite little thing that you think, this is my kingdom, my heaven, my nirvana?
For me, it's the look and feel of the exterior and also the interior of the property. I think the exterior, I've always loved the look of the building and you know the large arches accentuating the main features of the building, and the simplicity of the exterior. And inside, when you walk in, it's really what Foster's and Partners have done is really created that chic, luxury, contemporary feel, which it's minimalistic yet luxurious in many aspects. So for me, yeah, it's very much the visual aspect of the property, which I'm very fond of, and a lot of outdoor space in the building. So allows a lot of guests to wander around, which is not common in Hong Kong.
If you had a suggestion for someone that was in Hong Kong or thinking about going to Hong Kong, and they said, look, we would like to go to your property and have a cocktail. Okay, this is going to put you on the spot. This is one of those Those gotcha moments.
Yes.
What cocktail would you suggest, and where should they have that cocktail?
Well, I would recommend Pop'n'Jays on the roof. So I think being perched out on the terrace on a lovely day with a view of the Hong Kong skyline and sipping on, it's called a Pop'n'Jays Flight, if I believe. It's a popular cocktail up there. Comes in a little glass shaped as a bird.
You have a magnificent property, and the history associated with it, the location, the class and style, it's just unsurpassed. Dean, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the chat.
Well, that's it for BNAP Today and for the week ending September 18, 2020. Have a great weekend. For BNAP Today and Business Now Asia Pacific, I'm Mike Ryan.